What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Citizen JV, and today we're going to be talking about the Mark of Kri. And this is one of the most interesting and most well-designed and very intricate, unique type of story of a game back from 2002 on the PlayStation 2. And today I want to little talk about this game because I feel like that this game is one of the most interesting and very intricate design of a game back from 2002, like I previously mentioned before. So my apologies on that repetition. But however, what I love about this game, it's very unique story direction. Basically, this story is you play as Rao Utu. He is a great and noble warrior of a new type of generation of warriors, and he is also a protector and that of a bearer of the Marks of Kri, which is a very interesting way of telling the story from Kuzo, which is his spirit guide, voiced by Keone Young. Keone Young is best known to do some certain types of voice animated roles or voiceover roles in an animated TV show called The Batman back in, I believe it was in 2005, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But anyways, now what's really interesting about this game as well, it did some really unique ways of having a very different types of adaptive music. And what I mean that, the techniques of that was very specific for this type of game. And not only that, it did some really interesting of doing some tight synchronization of sorts with any kind of on-screen changes. And that's what really makes the music so unique in this game. Now, another thing that really makes this game very, very pivotal, and to what this game did initially back on the PS2 as well, is that it did some interesting ways of different types of graphic violence. But it's not just that. They also did a different type of cartoonish type of character designs in this game, to where, yes, it does look cartoonish, but it's the way how it's designed of its unique way of a certain type of a Polynesian type of culture and some sort of type of art as well. And not only that, the game's plot also is somewhat taking place in sort of a unique way of a Polynesian influence type of setting and some sort of type of Maori mythology, if I said that correctly. And so I think that's where this game really, really lies. I think that's where this game really shines of what this game can do in a different, unique way of storytelling. And I think that's where the Mark of Kri does a lot of things that I have never seen before in a game like this, because, coming off, playing other nostalgic games other than the Mark of Kri, like maybe, I guess, Mass Effect, I would say, or, but it has to do with the fact that, there's another series that I instantly fell in love with. It was the Legacy of Kain franchise. And after coming off from the Legacy of Kain franchise, I'm like, well, how am I going to get into other games that have a very unique setting, very interesting character progression, and a very interesting story, I might add, because, I always thought that the Legacy of Kain series did a remarkable and astounding story-driven experience, and I'm just like, oh my god, this game's absolutely amazing. But another thing though too is that they did with the gameplay mechanics with the combat as well. What they did really so differently is the fact that they did a thing called it was like a focused type of gameplay, to where you let out a highlight radio thing, as it were, and it will highlight your enemies, and your enemies will either be marked X, triangle, square, or circle. And you're able to pull off very interesting gameplay aesthetics of combinations. Basically, that's what they are. And that's where this game really, really shines in terms of its combat. Now, what I will say about the stealth mechanics in this game, it's very interesting and very intricate. It's very different from any other type of game that implements stealth, of course. But, it's not as robust like most games are when it comes to stealth mechanics, but it still works. And what you have to do is that you have to unequip your item and then go to your hand when you when you have like a radial dial thing, right? You know, you have your sword, you have your bow, you have your axe, and then you have your spear. You can unequip them and go to unarmed combat. So when you do that, you have to really be careful of, you know, either dodging or move away, and then once they start attacking you, you can disarm them and just like throw like a dagger of sorts towards them and eliminate them that way. And that's another thing that's really makes this game so interesting and intricate. And that's where I think, like I said, and that's where this game really, really shines. But what really makes this game even shine even more, however, is its story. I think it's one of the greatest, it's not just one of the greatest things I've seen in a game like this, but it's just the way how different, you do go through different types of biomes in this game to a certain extent, and it's very visual entertaining. And I love its visual art direction as well. I think it's one of the best I've seen, especially on the PlayStation 2 era and time. And it greatly shows that how far games have come. But when it comes to a game like The Mark of Kri, it really shows of what a game like this can really do, of what they were initially able to do with this game, especially on the PS2, because, you know, obviously, you know, consoles sometimes do have their certain types of limitations. But however, I think when it came to the PS2, especially for example, like Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 2, which was initially supposed to be a Sega Dreamcast title, but they had to cancel it and they brought it to the PlayStation 2. And the reason why they brought it to the PlayStation 2 is because they wanted to implement some better visual fidelity. They wanted to be able to do some different types of fogging mechanics as well. And that's where the PS2 really, really shines when it comes to games like The Mark of Kri or the Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 2. And I really wish that they would come out with a remastered collection of that series on PlayStation 5 or through a backwards compatibility of sorts, so that way I can be able to talk about that game series. However, we are veering off topic, so my apologies on that. But I want to go back to The Mark of Kri. This is all I can, like I said before, this is one of the most groundbreaking games I have ever seen from the PlayStation 2 era. It was one of the most groundbreaking. I fully admit it, because what I love about this game, other than what I previously mentioned about what this game does, it's just the way how the game does so many things right. I like the way how it tells its unique story. I like the way how you can do certain different types of styles of gameplay mechanics with your weapons. And it's the fact that, well, how this game really, really looks on the PlayStation 5. I mean, obviously, you know, the PlayStation 5 is a much higher end type of quality of a console, but it's no different from that on PC. But on PC, you're getting much more higher fidelity rate, you know, better FP frames per second. But point being, I'm just saying, it's like when it comes to playing PS2 games on a backwards compatibility emulation, it really goes to show of what these consoles can do, and I'm really glad they were able to bring this game back as this game is a remastered. They did bring this back, I believe, on the PS4. I don't know what year it was, but however, it really doesn't matter, because, like I said, this is one of the most amazing games I ever played amongst from the Legacy of Kain series or any other games like the Mass Effect series as well. But it's the fact that I love this art style in a game, and that's where I believe where this game really, really shines for me, because I am a very visual person. You know, I am an audiophile to a certain extent. I do like some good audio when it comes to, like, whether if it's games, movies, or anything of that nature. But however, I think the audio or the music in this game, it really fits the narrative. It really fits the atmosphere of the game as well. And it just goes to show you of what these games can do in terms of, you know, like, not just its visual fidelity, or not because of how well the audio can be intertwined at certain types of areas of the game and the levels and of its design. But I think that's where the Mark of Kri just really stands apart from especially older games on the PlayStation 2 era. And to me, I really feel like the Mark of Cree just, oh man, like I said, I can't get enough of this game. And this is the only reason why I'm able to do a video on this, is because I've been wanting to do a video on the Mark of Cree for quite some time, because like I said, I have done videos on Mass Effect, I have done videos on other titles that are on PS4 or on PS5, and I love those games, but I think when it comes to games like the Mark of Cree, it just really brings that nostalgia factor back, and I love nostalgia. I mean, yeah, I know I'm looking too much into the past and not thinking about the future in gaming, but that's technically not true, though, because I do like the new games that we are getting today. You know, we have the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom coming out soon. I'm very excited to get that, but I'm still going through Breath of the Wild right now, so I'm not going to get that anytime soon. I am, however, trying to get Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and so it's really tough for me to figure out what game I want to get next and be able to make some content on there and talk about that game specifically as well, in terms of everything of what I'm talking about this game. So, like I said, I'm veering off topic, but I'm just putting this in mind and knowing what I want to do in terms of the content that I create on my channel. Now, overall, what I can say about the Mark of Cree, I do highly recommend playing this game. Like I said, I love its gameplay mechanics. I love the story. Like I said, the visual art style is one of the greatest I've seen. Like I said, you know, especially when it comes to a PS2 title. I can't recall of any other games that had that type of visual art style fidelity, excuse me. Other than, you know, like I would say 13, the video game. And so the original game was absolutely amazing, but they did a remake on that, and that remake is so bad. But anyways, like I said, I know I'm veering off topic, so my apologies. But however, like I said, I do highly recommend playing this game. If you want a really good story-driven game, linear single-player experience, you know, getting just the writing is one of the best I've seen, especially on a PS2 title as well. And it shows that, you know, I would really like to see games more like this, especially on the modern day of consoles. But, however, it's a shame that sometimes I feel like that we won't get what we want. So, but anyways, too much further ado. Thank you for tuning in. Greatly appreciated. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to reply back if and whenever possible. And you guys have a good rest of your weekend. Peace.